Let's go!
I was checking out the scouting report, and I don't see nothing but bums. You and your whole entire world know that I am the one. You and your squad ain't got nothing for me.
Hey.
Your organization is looking stressed.
What?
And now that you haters is running from me, I know that you see that I'm highly blessed.
Here we go, here we go, here we go, here we go. Yeah, we live with your boy Coach G. Yeah, we live with your boy Monty.
You and your squad ain't got nothing for me. Your organization is looking stressed. And now that you haters is running from me.
Episode 24, here we are. Welcome into another episode of The Rewind, brought to you by Global Sports Entertainment 3. Live, as we promised, partner side with my homie, my co-host, Chicago's finest, Temple alum, over 400 career wins this co-head coaching career, coached both football and basketball. He is also in the Newark Hall of Fame. Bryant, we're here. Episode 24,
we're here.
Live. I get to kick his ass on camera now, officially.
You do, because this is something new to me with dealing with MMA and boxing. But, you know, I used to be involved in this a little bit there for about 2 or 3 months with boxing and being involved with the whole – it was just bananas being there live. But at the end of the day, I'm excited to be here with these fighters and learning a whole bunch of new stuff that they have to present to us today and into the world, because this is going global. And I'm excited.
Yeah, and officially that means if you mess with me tonight, I got 3 fighters here who can kick your ass.
Look,
no doubt about it.
I told you, I'm like a black Mexican. I fight to the end. It's just what it is. So, you know, let's get it on.
We got a special lineup for you guys tonight for this episode. It's going to be great. Bryant's hot take at the end. Woo! I'm not sure how we feel about this one, but all grace to the good Lord. We want to give a special shout out and dedicate this episode in particular to Bryant's mentor, a mentor of mine that I've met younger in my life, but Dr. Grant, who is no longer here with us. God rest his soul. Dr. Grant was heavily involved as a boxer, in the boxing world, I'm sorry. But Bryant, just a little backstory about Dr. Grant before we get started.
Yeah, he was a guy that brought me in as an inspector for boxing. He was also the president for Rosa International Music Organization. That I was his co-partner with that as well. As one of those guys that I truly miss over the years. I've known him for about 15, 16, 17 years. I've lost count, and we truly miss him. I would love to have him here today. And so this episode is definitely dedicated to him as in the boxing world, and he's truly solely missed. And, you know, I wish my partner was here today.
Absolutely. We got 3 talented, special fighters, a champion joining us who just kicked some ass on Friday, this past Friday down in Atlantic City. It was over in the first round. Done and dusted.
He didn't give Trump much to look at. You know what I mean? Trump was there for a minute and a half or something like that. You know what I mean? And I'm glad that they didn't take the attention off of him and put it on Trump. Let's focus on the fighter instead of listening to that noise. But a minute and a half, a minute and 60 seconds or whatever it was, he did his thing inside. Champion.
Can't take it away from him. Champ. So let's get him in. Let's introduce him one by one. We'll start with this woman here, FYI, getting ready to turn pro officially to make her debut this year, 2025. Date to be determined. Can't put it out just yet. She's been training her ass off. She works out. She's got another training session 3 a.m. tomorrow, or this morning, I should say. So it's going to be special. She's coming on, Mrs. Vicki Fontaine. Come on, join us. Bryant won't bite, I promise.
Yes, I will.
Vicki, welcome into Rewind. Good for you to join us. Episode 24. It's a pleasure.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
You are our first. We've done this for 24 weeks now straight. We've had different people in the business, from commentators to broadcasters to players to coaches. So you are our first female fighter. We're big on.
Why did it take so long?
Whoa.
Why did it take so long?
So we're big on women in sports. And I'll take accountability for that. Actually, I'm lying. We had a few female broadcasters.
Okay.
Shout out to Courtney from South Carolina. We had Nicolette, who works for Fox Sports 1. She came on and blessed us. We had Sydney from Houston. So we've had sports media personnel.
Receipts.
But first, female fighter.
Okay.
So appreciate you joining us. Give us, you got this thing coming up in a few hours, 3 a.m. But take us through your day-to-day as someone who aspires to be a professional in the sport of MMA. And of course, your hands are licensed to officially ruin someone's career. Is right there. So give us a little bit of background, a little bit intro into your world, what that looks like, and what's that process been like for you to be on this journey to want to be a professional fighter?
I guess like the biggest thing is that you really have to want it, because the schedule, the training, it is intense, and the world doesn't wait for your dreams, right? So this does not pay. I don't get paid to train. I lose money every time I train, right? Because I'm a coach, I'm a stretch therapist, I get paid by the hour. So every time that I'm not working, I'm losing money, right? But I'm here training. So it is a really big sacrifice. You do have to choose a certain kind of lifestyle, and there are times when you question it. Right? As you choose a question, anything in life, when it gets hard, it's just usually hard. And so when the going gets tough, right? So you got to rise to the occasion and see it through. Yeah. I don't know if I answered your question, but I mean, in regards to like how my days go and whatnot, it's different every day with the schedule, with working and whatnot. I do wake up extra early. On the days when I coach 5 and 6 a.m., I am up at 3 a.m. because I don't have that many hours to myself.
Wow.
So I get a couple of hours in the morning and I get a couple of hours at night, and that's it, right? And we all know, like, when you have a home, it's like, the less you're in it, the dirtier it gets. Right? And again, it's one of those things. It's one of those very little things where it's just like, you want to make your bed in the morning. You want to have a routine. You want to be regimented, and you have to make the time for those things. I don't want to train 24/7 and then ignore my self-care, ignore my family, ignore, there's a lot of give and take, and it's a hard way to find a balance. So, where you can, you sacrifice. Where you can't, you got to make that hard decision, rocking a hard place.
How's that balance in terms of course, you have to carve time out for yourself in between of training, of course, working on yourself as a female, a woman in the world, your own fitness, your own self-care. How does that carve into, of course, balancing from being a coach and, of course, training to be a fighter, and then having that off button where it's like, okay, I need some me time, mental health, me. Yeah. Is that difficult, or has it been difficult?
It's easy to lose sight of that in a spiral. So I kind of had to set boundaries for myself. And I have practice in doing that because I work remotely. So before I even started fighting, I worked remotely. It was before COVID. And it's one of those things where it's like, you have your laptop with you, you wake up in the morning, you start working, and then now you've lost that boundary of like, this is my chill time, this is my work time, right? And then you kind of like spiral into this obsession of working constantly and forgetting about the things that you need to do to like make what you get from working even worth it. Right. So I've had practice in that and setting boundaries with myself. Right. So if it gets to a point, and there are times where I lose sight of it, right, where I'm training so much and then like I go home and the dishes have piled up and, like my boss is calling me on some like, hey, where's that website? I do freelance web design and development as well. So again, I really have to make sure that I when I say I'm going to do something, I stick to that commitment.
Right.
So I would say I have things that I don't budge on. I have things that I do not negotiate with myself on, right? When it comes to making sure that I drink, like I have my morning routine to start the day off, right? Because if I make a bad decision in the morning, it's only followed by more bad decisions. Like if I wake up in the morning and I'm like, oh, brownie, like, when you're tired, when you're tired and you're hungry and you're just trying to like, if you're tired and you're hungry and you're looking for something quick and easy and you haven't meal prepped yet, it's so easy to go to Dunkin' and get like a donut or something real quick. But that first bad decision spirals into other bad decisions throughout the day. And I'm not sitting here like, oh, I've got it all figured out. I'm not David Goggins. I'm not like, like I mess up often. But I know that if I wake up early, I have like my mushroom coffee. I have my bottle of water. I go in, I coach. I make sure that I get to the gym at least 45 minutes ahead of time so that I can set up the gym properly, get all the workouts done on the whiteboard. Like it has to go. The moment like a domino falls out of place,
it's a wrap.
Yeah. It's just like with setting boundaries for myself, making sure I don't negotiate with myself, 80-20 rule.
80-20 rule. Can you train me?
Sure.
Because I don't know if
In what though?
well, I'm gonna put it out to you, and then you can let me know which way to go.
Okay.
So we're gonna do like a big promo video shoot to get ready for me and him are fighting at the end of the year. We're gonna end the year off with because people when we
Is
did
this a hypothetical? Or
no, this is real deal. This is real. Stay with me. Stay with
Okay.
me. So when we did our
No, he lying.
when we
I was to say like
When we
you guys
did-
don't look like you're in the same weight class, but
no this is like bare knuckle street fight. It's a street fight. The street fight.
all right.
But when we did our promo video and here a few weeks ago, a few people asked us on social media our platforms, us two, what we consider getting in the ring. Now, of course, he's twice my size, and he's old as shit.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I got a shot.
Jamal.
What would be your game plan?
Well, I can't say it here on this episode because then that gives away all my tactics.
Okay.
But with you as a trainer, and of course seeing how I am now, and then obviously looking at him, do you think with you training me, let's say we'll fight at the end of the year, maybe a 6-month camp, do I have enough in me to get ready to get it on with this guy here, or am I just wasting my time? Because I know I can kick his ass, but I just need you to tell me I can.
You just need me to tell you.
And he trains like an NFL player. Like I'm in the gym with him, and he's like insane.
Do you have any fight experience?
Chicago.
Oh, Chicago. I had to fight every day of my life in Chicago.
Well, I'm gonna tell you right now, and you'll see when and no shade or anything to my teammate Benny, but you'll see you can't judge a book by its
You can't.
cover.
You can't.
Tell you right now,
So,
Benny is
you
a
like my
force to be
chances?
reckoned with. And if you saw him in a bar fight, you'd probably pick him off as like an easy target, and
No.
then you'd be sorely mistaken. so looking at you, I have no idea, and I can't say
believe
it
in
for
me?
6 months. So I believe in
Do you believe in me? Do you believe I can kick his ass?
You just want me to say yes?
I want you to be realistic.
Nah.
All right, folks, that'll do it for episode 24. Vicki has ruined my professional fighter dreams.
I didn't.
I'm going to stick to broadcasting and podcasting. And we'll see you next week for episode 25. So, Vicki, thank you for ruining.
We have weight classes for a reason. And if you don't have any experience, if you don't got any technical skills, you could train for 6 months, but what is he going to be doing during those 6 months?
Nothing. Nothing.
I train every day.
So,
Different.
let's switch gears.
Just mental focus. There you
Mental
go.
focus. Of course, this year has been a little bit challenging for you.
Yeah.
Preparing mentally to make that next step in your career, but also make that next step in your life. A dream that you put out to a goal that you put out that you want to reach. Unfortunately, it didn't happen due to some complications, and that could be a setback, right? Because you set out a goal like, hey, I want to have this done by this time, and you put all your training, all your attention, your discipline, your focus into that date, that month, and that for not to happen. Mentally, could you share what that's been like for you this year to have a goal set out and then to, of course, it's not by you or your control because you've done what you're supposed to do, but from a mental standpoint from you, how did that feel and where are you now in terms of your mental process to get ready to get back on that bike, to climb, to make your debut, hopefully the year 2025?
Well, I'll be very clear with you. Sensei does not let us get off the bike. So, like, the fight didn't happen, but we kept training.
Right.
You don't lose focus. You always got to stay ready. You never know when something's going to pop up. And we could be very specific about those complications because the nature of the complications has a lot to do with how I felt about it. Right?
Okay. Give it to us.
Yeah, at the end of the day, even in amateur, you have contracts, right? You have agreements. You have, like I said, boundaries set with yourself. People have expectations of you. You make promises and you deliver on them. Your reputation and what you say, as long as you follow up with it, it's very important as to who you are and your character, right? This is not something that comes lightly. Like I said, it's a lot of sacrifice. On my end, it's a lot of sacrifice for my coaches. It's a lot of sacrifice for my training partners. It's a sacrifice for people that come out to support you, that buy tickets. And then you have contracts in order to try to keep people true and know hey, this is what we agreed on. This is what we're going to do. I fulfilled my end of that contract. So I have, as far as it goes, I have zero frustrations with myself. I had a really good weight cut. I discovered new things about myself during that weight cut, in which I do every weight cut, so it's not a complete loss. You always learn something about yourself in a camp. Camps never go exactly the same. And if they do go exactly the same, then you haven't grown, right? Because then nothing has changed. So, I fulfilled my part. I was really happy with myself. I got a lot of support from my team, and I was really happy about that because that just cements the fact that like I'm making the right decisions. I'm around the right people.
Right.
I got a lot of support from friends and family, which made me really proud and really happy. And all of that when my opponent did not make weight and I was told that I cannot fight because she did not fulfill her side of the contract, all of my anger and frustration and disappointment came from the fact that everyone that supported me worked so hard to get me to this point, and it doesn't matter because it's out of our hands. We did everything we were supposed to do. We worked extremely hard. We sacrificed. Like I said, time is money, right? I took off work. Right. I took off work for it. I lost a lot of money on that.
Wow.
And that aside, I had friends and family buy tickets. A lot of people were supporting me. And it was all put to a dead stop. And it's one of those things where it's like, life is filled with disappointments.
It is.
So, I have a lot of practice in handling disappointments, and I can walk away from that okay because I know I did what I was supposed to do. And I know that I'm surrounded by the right people because everyone supported me and everyone came through for me the way that they said they were going to come through for me, So really, at the end of the day, I was upset and I was angry and, but not at myself, not at my team. Just like sometimes that's just the way the cookie crumbles.
It is.
And I hope my opponent does better,
I hope you see her again.
Me too. I hope that like I said, fulfilled my part of the contract. Okay. And everyone else that did not, that's on them for them to sleep at night,
Yeah. So what more? Go ahead, Bryant.
That's okay. No, but it's and before we get ready to introduce the other two fighters as well, and my thing is, I just want to ask you a question because you are a female fighter. How do you engage into the youth to getting them involved into fighting as well to gain more interest from the females to get involved into the sport?
I haven't. I really haven't. Let's see. That's a good question. It is a good question. So, were you?
I was.
What have you done to support women in this sport? That's where we are. All right. So
because it's a thing now, with the WNBA. Now they're really going full throttle into advertising for female basketball, and female sports is becoming a big thing now, and it's more advertised now than men's sports because men's sports are now boring because everything is almost entertainment. Yeah. With female sports now, you actually see what the sport really does and what is actually out there to do as far as using your athletic talent, and it shows that right there on the TV screen. How do you engage the youth to getting them to believe in they can profit from this and become something special as their careers move on and becoming adults?
I mean, honestly, it's not something that I don't go around being like, hey, have you tried fighting? Mm-hmm. Getting punched in the face isn't that bad. I don't think that it's something that we need to encourage women to do. I think what we need to promote is the fact that they can do whatever they want to do and it's okay and there's no stigma to it and you're still going to be seen as a woman even if you're doing an aggressive sport. If it like whatever you choose to do is okay. It's more so erasing the stigma against it. Mm-hmm. Because why would I talk someone into doing this? If I have to talk someone into doing it, then this is not for them. What I want to do is remove anything that can be discouraging for people that already want to do it. And the best way for me to do that is to go out and do my thing. Mm-hmm. And for people to see that it's okay for me to go out and do my thing. It was the same thing when I was younger, going back to what I used to do with like coding and website development, women in coding. I was the second female in my major at RIT. For website design and development. I was the first Black female in my major at RIT. The ratio of men to women in technology was crazy low. Mm-hmm. And women coding was just not a thing, mm-hmm. And then everyone asked me then, it's like, what are you doing to get women and interested in coding? And I'm like, if they're interested, they're interested. You don't need to encourage them. You just need to stop people from discouraging them, mm-hmm. I mean, what does women in sports mean to you guys? You keep saying like it's a female fighter. How if I was a male fighter, how would you approach this differently?
Well, my thing is because I've raised a daughter, right? I've raised a daughter, and I got her heavily engaged in all sports, and she fought me on it. And she said she didn't want to play, anymore. So, and I'm trying to get out fillers of if I have a granddaughter coming up, and how do I approach her to keep her engaged? Because, I wanted a child to play basketball or to play, softball or whatever she wanted to do. But I found that trying to get her to do those things, it was cumbersome because the interest just wasn't there. So my thing is trying to figure out, how do I engage women and young ladies to stay engaged into the sport that they decide to choose? Because as you guys get older, everything changes, hormonal, all that other things that she was going through. I understood it. And I said, all right, look, we're just going to stick to education. She's an engineer now. So I adjusted to what she wanted to do. But my thing is, how do you keep them going? How did you just keep going into fighting those things? Or this is something that you knew that you wanted to do as you were as a kid?
So, who's Mike? So I just discovered this recently. When I was younger, the only sports, like my main sport was swimming. And I could speak to that because that was something that I really loved to do. And my dad wanted to keep me into it. So, he had me sports teams, the club teams, the swim camps, which is not fun. It sounds like fun because it's not, they try to drown you, man. Mm-hmm. And he burned me out to a point where I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. But you get tired. Eventually, if you love it, you come back to it, Mm-hmm. And, I don't know, with your family, I'm sorry, who did you say it was?
Jayla is my daughter.
Jayla, yeah. So Jayla, I don't know her interests or anything, but if she loves sports, if she needs to take a break from it, she'll come back to it. It's one of those things, not everybody's into it.
Right.
But if you try to force someone to do something, they try it and they're still not into it, nothing you could do about it. But if they try it and they love it, there's nothing you could do to stop them from doing it. And that's the difference.
And that's why I left it alone.
Yeah, that's the difference.
I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm done.
Let's see. I think I was heavy into sports in high school. College, I went a different route. I joined a sorority. I did the social thing. I did zero sports. Zeta Phi Beta International Sorority Incorporated. Here we go.
And my daughter's a Zeta. So, both of you guys are sisters now.
What's her credentials? Tell me. What did she? You don't know.
You asking the wrong person. But you guys have each other's numbers. You know what I'm saying? So, she's going to find out, oh, that's my soror. I want to do it. Yeah, you guys are heavily connected. She's big on that.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So you guys will get along very, very well. Yeah. I knew it was something there. I knew it was a connection. But that's great. That's absolutely great.
So before you sign off, because we know you got to get up 3 o'clock in the morning, we will not be joining you. I'll tell you that right now. I get up 4:30, 4:45 to go to gym at 5, but your training and my training are. I would like to hire you as my trainer, but you have too much stuff going on. I want to get really just big, but tone. I'm good now. It's been a long journey. I've been in the gym consistently 4 days a week for the last almost a year now. Results, of course, they come.
Yeah.
But I'm in there. It's in and out. An hour, but give myself 30, 45 seconds per set. Go get it again. I just don't like to waste time in there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever how many sets I'm doing or how many machines, in and out. I can't stand people in there. They're on their phone, taking selfies. You ask them how many sets they got. They just got there. But I just saw you 20 minutes ago because you in the same spot I left you. So, of course, I just try to keep myself disciplined. And doing this is a passion. And I think for you to follow your passion and wanting to be a professional fighter, it's not something that someone has to tell you or someone has to convince you. You make that decision with yourself and say, hey, I want to do this. How do I get to the top of that mountain? I'm not sure yet. But then you surround yourselves with people that know the game, that know the business, that can give you the blueprint on how to get there. And then it's on you to say, you know what? It's on me to follow these things and apply that own DNA to my own way and then work my way to get to the top of the mountain. I believe you will. You already have the willpower. You have the discipline. I mean, you're up at 3 o'clock in the morning and you're getting ready to coach at 5 and then your day's beginning. There is no nap. There is no rest. That's a hell of a grind that you're on. And I respect that.
Look, man, she's a Zeta. I already know what she went through. Getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning, that's not, because I know what the hell I went through when she got her ass up at 3 o'clock in the morning doing that pledging and all this. I pledged. I should be an honorary Zeta if I was a woman, but I'm not. But yet she whooped my ass up, crying and stuff. Look, I didn't want to deal with that, but yet she put me through it for 3-4 months, or however long the hell it was. I was like, 4 months, I didn't get no damn sleep.
Yeah.
It didn't make no sense. I was like, oh, it drive me crazy, crying all this stuff you guys had to read. She's fine. She's good.
She's great.
She's good.
She's great.
I ain't worried about
I'm
that.
getting ready to go
She's
through
used to it. She's used to it.
I can't disclose it, but
Yeah.
of course you guys took the undergrad route. I know grad chap's a little bit different. But Brian and myself, he's been getting asked for years. I've just started probably 3 years ago.
I know what I'm getting ready to do, but
I have no idea what's on the other side of that door.
It's coming.
But again, you make that decision with self.
I'm nervous about this until this moment right here because I'm like, y'all don't say too much.
I won't.
It's coming.
So,
But they already know what I'm getting ready to do. So they're the ones that bringing me in. So yeah, they know.
So Bryant, pass Vicki the mic before she goes. It's been a absolute pleasure and a blessing for you to grant us and bless us with your presence to come on episode 24. This episode is really special to me personally. 24 because of Kobe Bryant. I'm a big Kobe fan, diehard. So I wanted to make sure that episode 24 had that Mamba feel,
Mamba mentality.
I read his book a few times. It's a great book. But for the people out there, give them a little bit more insight where they can find you on social media, because we have a great following that support this podcast and support our socials. So for the people out there, where can they find you? Tell us a little bit that's coming down the pipe for 2025, and where can people show you some love?
All right. You can find me at Carnicella MMA. My Instagram is @Vix. I don't really post that much, in all honesty. Like I'm just busy, and maybe that's a cop out. I'm not into posting that much, but you could definitely find me here. And again, I did want to go back to something you said about like people handing you the blueprint. I want to give a big shout out to my sensei Paul Carnicella, because again, this was not easy to get into. There's a lot of people that will lead you in the wrong direction. I really feel like I was blessed in the fact that when I came to the sport, I came to this gym first, and I found the right people that really supported me in all the ways that I needed. Because if I did not have that, I would not be here still.
Yes.
So I want to give a big shout out to him.
Absolutely. He's coming on.
Yeah, you can check out the gym's Instagram at Carnicella MMA. Clifton, New Jersey.
Quick hot seat question. Favorite female MMA fighter?
That's messed up.
The rewind. That's what we do. It's what we do.
I want to be judged immediately. Can I just say I don't pick favorites on anything because it depends on my mood that day.
Okay.
But
let's make one a little easier.
Right? No, but I could give. It's gonna be. I feel like it's definitely Amanda.
Okay. She's tough as nails.
Right.
You're tough as nails.
Thank you.
I say that.
But when it comes down, I look at when I'm like the history of her fight career and how tough she is, and the fact that she made, like, I feel like there's not a point in her career where I lost any kind of respect. There was never a point where I looked at her and like, oh, she's a great fighter, but I don't know about her character. I just think that the way she represents herself, the way she carries herself, her hard work training, the way that she, none of that is easy. Like, you look at champions and you're like, wow, they must have just like woke up with the ability to do this. And I wish that I had that ability. It's like, no, you had to train really, really hard to get to that point. And we see the highs. I can only imagine the lows. There's a yin and a yang to everything. Just as high as anyone's been, they've been that low, And I just see her career and I'm like, wow, like it's someone that, I want to say I idolize, but if I had to say someone that I want to like a guiding light, she's one of them. She's one of them. I don't pick favorites, but she's up there. One of the many. One of the greats.
Fair enough.
People paving, like what makes her journey better than another woman that has also blazed that trail, made it easier for me by showing me that it can happen.
Yes. Thank you. We appreciate you. I'll leave you with this. Romans chapter 8, verses 18. The pain of what you're feeling is nothing compared to the joy that's coming.
I needed to hear that. Thank you.
Always. Thank you.
All right, so
Miss Vicki Fontaine, episode 24 of The Rewind. If we had a Madison Square Garden podcast, it'd be a standing ovation right now. But we'll get there. We appreciate you. Thank you. See you at 3 a.m. p.m. Brian, man, that was awesome. She's great.
It's fantastic.
I was scared as hell sitting here.
Hey, she's Z-fied. I know Jayla's gonna
Zeta in the house.
Z-fied all the way down. So she's
Coach
gonna be excited to
Carnicella.
get that.
to Don.
And she has her number, too.
And she has a number.
It's already hooked up.
That's
so
awesome.
Wait till I tell her. She's going to be excited.
Our next guest, I think we should do 2.
Yeah, we could do 2.
We could do 2?
We could do 2.
Can we do 2?
We could knock these 2 out.
We could knock these 2 out, and then we save the great one because he's going to referee our fight.
Yeah, that's
He's going to referee our fight.
That's
and ain't going to be nothing you could do about it.
That's pretty Ricky.
Pretty Rick, Slick Rick.
Slick Rick.
Oh, well, Ric Flair uses that.
That's it.
But Ricky Vera was the first.
Hey, I call him Uncle Ricky.
Uncle Rick.
Yeah.
Uncle Ricky.
Let's bring our 2 guys on.
So we're going to bring on the young Jedi who's been kicking ass and taking names so far in his young career. Not professional yet, amateur, on his way to be a professional. He's doing all the right things. And that's winning. And he's a winner. And if you mess with me tonight again, I'll get him to kick your candy ass.
He's in a different weight class.
Me and him could get it on, but I need 2 years to train for him.
Look, I've taken on old football teams. Doesn't matter. I'm just like Charles Barkley.
Benny, we want Uncle Benny, young Jedi, Silvestro, episode 24, The Rewind. Come on, Benny, sit down. I won't hurt you. I promise I won't. Bryant may. Don't be scared of him.
Oh, yeah.
He's an ex-football player. What's up, brother? Good of you to join us. Do you want the champ next to you? You want the champ next to you? Let's bring the champ on.
You can have a seat
You
there.
can sit,
The champ, come on. The champ sit next to me. The champ sit next to champions.
Well, I'm a champion.
No, I'm a champ. I'm a 4-time state champion. Champions sit next to champions.
Gilbert.
That's right.
Gilbert.
He's a future champion.
Next to a future champion. I like that. I like that.
The rookies
and the vets.
And the vets right here. That's how it should be.
Eventually, you pass the baton to us rookies.
Of course. Eventually, but not yet.
We patient. We humble. Gil is in the house. Gil, first off, we want to welcome you to episode 24 of The Rewind, brought to you by Global Sports Entertainment 3. Carnicella Gym is where you get it in, train. But this past Friday, you had an amazing milestone in your career, becoming champion. It wasn't done in 2 rounds or 3 rounds or 4 rounds. It didn't go to distance. The referee didn't, he didn't have to call a timeout because, you guys weren't playing fair by the rules. It was over in the first round. Champ, how's that sound?
Sounds good, I like to go in, finish fast, and then leave.
We got the title here, Bryant. We have the title here.
We got the belt here.
We got the belt here.
We got the belt here too. Title belt. I just want to deliver this, nice and easy. I don't want to break that glass.
Woo!
There, baby. That's the glass. That's plain pure glass.
That's hot right there, folks. That's hot. Champ.
Like Champ.
Gil, let's talk about your fight on Friday. I know when we were here a few weeks ago, building up for this episode in particular, you were training hard. You were trimming weight. You were getting ready. Mentally, you were in a different state of mind. But now
it was bad because I recently came back to America again.
Welcome.
I was heavy.
How heavy?
Cutting down from 180 to 144. So that wasn't easy. It was not easy. So it looked like I was a starving kid. I looked really hungry. But it was good. I did professionally. I did, day by day, regime. I had a couple cheat meals here or there.
What's cheat meals? Few Big Macs?
Pancakes.
Pancakes, buttermilk.
Yeah, I had some chocolate bars. I was eating a little bit. I got down, then I ate a chocolate bar. Oh, my weight went back up. Ah, man, back on the treadmill with sauna suit, everything. But everything worked out.
So for you to come back to the country, United States, at 188 or over 180, let's say, and then the journey to get to be ready, fight ready at 140, take us through what that process was like from start of being overweight to then finish line of being at 140 fight ready.
Like, I'm never overweight, but it's because I was away for so long. And when you're away in different countries, everything's different. Like the quality of food, the pH level in the water. You know, I was living in Thailand for 6.5 years, and I lived in Bali for 9 months.
Wow.
Then I was in London, then Liverpool, then I was everywhere. But then I got back here. I stayed 2 months, and I was in Brazil for probably 5 or 6 months. So then I'm everywhere. And then you know, I'm living at home with my mom. So, you know, everyone gets a little
All
fired
right.
when they're
It's all right.
Mom.
Nothing like that mama home cooking.
oh man.
Nothing like it.
And every time I got a fight coming up, my mom wants to be like Betty Crocker. She wants to cook every day. Every day she wants to have a barbecue. She wants to do this. I'm like, Mom, stop this. You're killing me. So it was tough. I find it easier cutting weight when I live alone because, you know, I don't bring that food home.
Correct.
When my mom's there, I got my nephew, my niece, you know, they're not suffering like me. So she's always cooking for them, and then I wish I could be eating, but I gotta eat this salad right here. It was all worth it. It was
All worth it.
yeah.
What was that moment like for you on Friday to, of course, check another list off the checklist in your career, but to win the title in your home territory, which is Atlantic City, New Jersey, where Bryant's familiar with his inspector days. But take us through, what was that moment like for you to win the fight, but to have your arm raised and to have that title across your waist?
Oh, it felt so good. I was so happy I won because it's been a long time since I fought in America. I think it was like 7 years, something like that. So I'm like, I was nervous because, man, I'm in front of my friends, my family, everything. Like more adrenaline, more nerves. You know, when you're fighting outside the country, they're not always there with you, but now they're here. You're like, oh, please, guys, don't let me mess up. Please, let me do this right. Let me do this right. You know, so I had more nerves, but it felt so good when when the ref raised my hand. All I knew is when I got in the guy's back, he wasn't taking me off. I'm like, I'm putting him to sleep. He is not getting out. He is not escaping. He's going to sleep. That's all I thought. I'm like, go, ready, go, night.
Can you teach me that?
Of course, I got you.
Because I need to put someone in night.
I got you.
But it's in his fucking dreams. You better believe it. I just got a quick question before he goes off and continue to ramble a little bit more. How was it being in that ring and then you had Donald Trump sitting there and everybody sitting there clapping and booing at the same time? How did that flow? Explain that whole atmosphere, because
Bryant, FYI, that was the UFC main event in Prudential Center that weekend. His fight was in Atlantic City Friday night.
Was Trump there?
No.
Oh, shit.
It was rumors he might have been there. It's supposed to be there.
That's what I said.
But,
he was right.
you know,
wasn't there?
Saturday night, he was at
Have
Prudential
you ever
Center.
fought with him being in there?
Not yet.
I like that. Not yet.
When I do, I'm gonna do the dance.
Let me rephrase this.
How you do the dance? How you do the dance?
Rephrase this question. Let me rephrase this question. How do you think it feels when you have someone of that magnitude coming there while you're getting ready to fight? Do you think it's an advantage or a disadvantage for you as a fighter? Because I felt during that times when he walking inside the building, I think it's a total disadvantage for the actual fight. So for a guy of that magnitude walking inside, how did that make you feel as a fighter?
Of course, he'll put more attention on him, but it's okay. He can have his time, and then when the bell goes off, I'm gonna have my time. If he's there or not, it won't make a difference. Afterwards, I could talk to him about being my sponsor. Then, yeah, you know, I gotta put on a good performance. But when he's there, I'm like, I don't care. It's just me and my opponent.
Well, he's a big fan of
Yeah.
MMA without any questions. I'm quite sure he's going to wind up coming into one of your fights. My whole thing about it is the mental that you have approaching that actual fight at that time. And if you guys are that mentally strong that you can actually ignore that atmosphere, because it got to be nuts in there when he's there.
Mm-hmm.
My hat goes off to you, because not only that, you have artists that walk through there and you guys walk out with different artists and all that, especially with boxing. How does that go? Are you able to mentally focus big time when that type of stuff and atmosphere is going on, you just totally focusing on that fight at the hand, or is that a slight distraction of where your head is at doing that particular fight?
It all depends, you know. You gotta try to be 100% focused on the fight, because 1 second can mean you get knocked out or choked out. So you gotta try to focus everything on that opponent, because like, all right, you can have everyone outside, but ain't no one gonna save you. So you gotta focus, you know. It's like, oh, say the president's there, your girlfriend's there. You look at them, boom, you go to sleep. So you gotta focus, even though it could be hard. A lot of stuff could be happening. You could have all the problems in the world, but right there, those 15 minutes or 25 minutes, you gotta focus 100% there. Because if not, you're risking your life, your health, everything.
Yeah.
So you gotta be serious. You gotta be ready.
Brian, let's get Benny in here. Young, up and coming, young Jedi who's surrounded by many, many, many great, talented fighters in this gym alone. The champ right next to him as a prime example. But Benny, for you, being so far young, but knowing at a young age what you want to do, at what point in your life, from an age perspective, did it click for you to say, this is what I want to do, but how do I get there to the finish line and be a champion?
Age-wise, I'd say around like 13 years old, I started really getting into the sport fully. Like I started watching it more. I started watching UFC. And, you know, I was always doing jiu-jitsu, but really what got me catapulted into like that like athletic lifestyle is starting wrestling in high school, right? I started wrestling when I was 14. So like a year or two after I started really getting into the sport, I knew that it's something I wanted to do. I've always told people my whole life, I was like, oh, you guys watch and see. I'm gonna be a UFC fighter one day. I'm gonna be a champion one day. And everyone was like, yeah, well, okay. But you know, I just I knew it was very outlandish. Obviously, it's like a very out there dream and goal. But I just always had my head in one direction. You know, always had I was just always very tunnel vision on the goal, you know what I mean? And I got into high school, I started wrestling, I got out of high school, and then I came here. I found Coach Paul Carnicella, and from there it's been great. We have a bunch of fighters here, and they all acclimated me very well. At first I was getting my ass kicked a lot. But they acclimated me very well, and I ended up you know, fitting in very good with the team. And we have everything here. We have wrestling, jiu-jitsu, boxing, kickboxing. So it's a very good spot for me to progress my career.
I when I was a kid, when I started playing football, I was acclimated into jiu-jitsu for about a week. And doing that and playing football at the same time wasn't fun, because you get the shit kicked out of you and beat up all day, every day. And it was just too much for me to do both, because it seemed like I went to a wrestling match for 2 hours there and then 2 hours of practice in football. Yeah, exactly. It helped, but it was just killing my body. Right. How did you get through that? Because I couldn't do it. I just could. Did you involved in other sports as well as jiu-jitsu? Because I just couldn't do it for myself.
Not really. I was always like a fat nerdy kid, you know, like I was just like, I was not in any kind of sports. I didn't like basketball. I didn't like football. I couldn't run. The thing about fighting that got me is it's just such a detail-oriented sport. So it's like, that's what like put that like seed in my head. So I really didn't have to juggle anything. Like I didn't have to juggle training. I didn't have to juggle like football or anything, just school. And I wasn't really good at school anyway. So it was like, I really was able to tunnel vision on one thing. I really didn't have too many things pulling me in different directions, but still, even just training alone, that's tough, you know? But as a kid, I mean, like, it was just more fun than anything, you know? I recovered faster. So, you know, it was just really fun to me, you know? That's really it. It was just really fun. And now it's getting more serious for me, but I'm still trying to keep that fun aspect to it, you know? So, yeah.
You got a long way to go, man. You're still a baby. I look at you like you're a son of mine, And but no, I may have to adopt you just like I adopted this one over here. Trust me, it'd be worth your while, man. I challenge you big time.
Get me on the hills.
So here's my question for the champ, right? And this is a question from the champ to soon to be champ, because we're gonna speak it into existence. For you, champ, what advice would you give? Because you were at one point in your career in his footsteps where you had all these dreams, all these aspirations to get to be a professional, but also to be a champion. And so far you've achieved both. So what advice would you give to Benny right now, his young amateur career, but get ready, eventually being a pro, with everything that you've learned over the years, all this, the lessons you've been through, both in the ring and outside the ring. What would be your advice to give to Benny as he continues to navigate through his own journey to eventually become a champion?
Just keep pushing through. There's going to be a lot of hard days, a lot of them, and they're going to suck. Well, just keep pushing through, because if you stop, you're going to stop where you are. You're never going to achieve nothing. But if you keep pushing through, eventually, you're going to get to where you want to go, It's not always going to be easy. There's going to be more days where you don't want to train than you do want to train.
Right.
Especially when it's hot, humid, or when it's cold, rainy. You're not going to want to train all the time. Just keep showing up. That's what we got to do. Keep showing up every day.
Yes, sir.
And then eventually you get there.
Yes, sir.
Got a question for the champ?
Yes, actually. Let me think. Let me think of a good question. All right, go. This is not even a question like on motivation. This is like a curiosity question. Stylistically, what's your hardest matchup? Do you believe?
I think it's the grinders. Like the guys that no matter how hard you hit them, no matter how hard you slam them, they just keep coming back
Like
at
the
you.
Erics.
They just keep coming.
Yeah.
You're like, I got to pull something out of somewhere. It's like, you got to be ready to die. Not even ready to die. You got to be ready to kill them.
Right.
Because it's like some people, they're in your face. No matter how many elbows you hit them with, no matter how much you open their face up, nothing. They're still there in your face here.
Yeah.
So the grinders, those are the harder ones.
I'm glad I haven't really fought someone. Now we have guys in the room like Eric, guys in the room, but I'm glad I've never really fought someone like that yet. But it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be a good fight. It's gonna be a good test. Of course.
Will you be ready?
Of course.
Don't fight anybody from Chicago, because that's what we do. We just keep coming. So it's not a handpick. You talking about the whole hood. That's how they are. They crazy. They won't stop.
You ever saw that meme, 100 gorillas versus one man?
Yeah, pretty much.
Right here.
Oh, hey,
right here.
He's gonna have to act
Right
special. There are some special kind of people over there at the shop. I'm telling you.
So for Benny and Gil, because of course we know you guys are on time constraints, and if it was up to us, we would be doing this episode for 3 hours, because there's so much room to talk about, so many things, so many roads to go down, from personal childhood trauma to challenges you guys face now to overcoming adversity, a bunch of places we can go. But I just want to personally say, from the bottom of my heart, and I know Bryant's a little cold-hearted, so you won't get this side out of him, being from Chicago, but you're gonna get it from me. But thank you to you both for blessing us with your presence. And if you put that belt in the ring for me and Bryant with Slick Rick as a referee, I guarantee I'm walking home as a champ. I got Coach Carnicella here to get me ready for the fight. We good. I believe in
15 seconds.
15 seconds.
That's all you need.
Team rookies. You heard Benny. But for the people out there that will be supporting us in this episode, as well as both of you from social media platforms where they can find you, where they can show some love. Of course, Carnicella Gym MMA on Instagram, but your personal pages because we throw out something, they go. They show love. We love our GSC3. I don't say fan base. I call it loyal member base, because everyone that's a supporter of this is loyal to us, and it takes a village to be able to do things like this. So I'll start with you, Benny. Where can the people find you, support you, tell them what's coming up, 2025?
Instagram. Oh, sorry. Instagram, Arbin, __ 2332. Next fight, not anything confirmed yet. Hopefully by end of the summer, looking for August.
Birthday. All right.
Mine too.
Yes, sir.
What's your
August
birthday?
13th.
August 12th.
Oh,
It's a Leo thing. You have to understand. See, you see?
when's yours? No one cares.
That's why I love the champ. Gil.
As a matter of
White Gil's in the house.
matter of fact,
I love it.
it's next week. My birthday.
Gil. Gil.
Yeah, so
Gil. Look, Gil.
There's a ring
Gil.
here, an opportunity in space. Don't let that
Gil.
age fool you.
Gil. Repeat after me. We don't care.
we don't care.
Leo Nation, baby. Leo Nation, baby. We in the house.
Better care. Won't make it home.
Gil, where can the people find you on social media?
I'm gonna have to type it for you guys because it's in Portuguese. It's Tubarão Branco 9191. So I'm gonna have to type it out for
Obrigado.
you. De nada.
Muito bom. Muito bom.
No faz nada.
No faz nada.
No fried nada?
It's the only thing I know.
Appreciate it, guys. It's been great. The champ, Gil, the young Jedi, soon to be champ, Kenny, but it rhymes with Benny because Benny kicked Kenny's ass. You like that? I put a little Monty Moss special on it. But shout out to my Leo brother, August 12th, August 13th. Oh man. July 3rd. July 3rd next week. Congratulations, champ. We love you. We support you. Whatever we can do from the Rewind to put your stuff out there, we will. Man, I'm blessed to be in the ring with a champion, two champions.
And I'm telling you, I'm gonna send Trump an email so he can get to your next champion fight.
Yeah.
I just want to see
You know what?
that damn atmosphere.
You know what? I
and
will
see
say
what it's
this.
like. I'm for real.
Yeah, I will be at his fight when you put the belt on the line.
Definitely.
I'm coming.
I mean, we
gonna be there.
We'll come at the
We gonna be
in the
there.
front.
Don't put out. Just let me know the date
Yeah, we gonna sit in
and
the
who
front
ass
row.
you gonna kick because he's gonna kick somebody's ass.
In August, I'm gonna have myself a birthday present. That'll be my next fight. Hopefully, we don't have nothing confirmed yet, but
Okay.
Let us know because we have some couple of things. That's in fact our month off is in August, so we can do a lot of
Fantastic.
different things. And
Fantastic.
I would love to go to a fight. I worked them. I didn't work an MMA fight. I didn't work I worked a boxing match, but I would love to go and watch these fights because it'll be a first time experience for me, and I get to sit there and see the oohs and ahs and God damn,
I get to see you choke someone's life out. Good night. Again.
You see where his mind is? You see what his mind? I didn't raise him to be this way. I really didn't. So if anything, he's 20. He's young enough that he can bring his ass up in here and do what you do, and then you could choke his ass out, and I won't say nothing.
Why would he want to do that?
Of course.
Why?
That's because you're a Leo.
With Leo brothers.
That's what Leo brothers
With
do.
brothers.
That's okay.
La Familia.
Oh yeah, La Familia. This.
Benny and Gil, episode 24, The Rewind. Fellas, it's been a pleasure. Thank you guys for coming on. We appreciate you guys. We'll be back here. We're just getting started here.
Yeah, just
a lot of good things coming, but thank you. Obrigado. La Familia.
Thank you.
Yes.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Absolutely. Episode 24, The Rewind, brought to you by Global Sports Entertainment 3. Bryant, man, we've been blessed with tonight's episode. We had a champ in the house. His fight was over in the first round. We had a young up-and-coming who, ironically, if you didn't know, fun fact, one of his amateur fights, because he is a two-time, he had Iron Mike Tyson call his fight.
Yes.
And called him Babyface. Now, if Iron Mike Tyson gives you a nickname during the fight or any point in the fight, you are blessed for life.
Baby face, and he's such a baby that he didn't even mention it. It goes to show you what a great character he is, because he doesn't want to boast. He's trying to get to a certain level, and I understand it and I respect it. So he's very extremely humbling kid.
Yeah,
and man, I'm very excited about getting to one of his fights as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I need to see Babyface in action.
Yep.
Because I mean, to be that young. But to also know that young, this is what I want to do.
Yeah, you talking about somebody that young, and you up here trying to get in my ass. I tell you what, you need to go ahead and wrestle him first before you get to me, because I'm like the JYD. I'm like the junkyard dog. You got to go through a whole bunch of people before you get to me. I got too much experience for you. So stick with him first. He gonna kick your ass, and then it'll be over.
See, Brian's trying to stir some things up, folks, but we're not gonna allow it to happen tonight. He's taken away from the main fact that me and him has a fight at the end of the year. MGM Grand. We're going to sell that place out. Matter of fact, I want to go to Madison Square Garden. Let's sell out backyard.
Yeah, you sell out one ticket.
But our next two folks coming on, very, very well-respected men in the business from both boxing and mixed martial arts. Both of these individuals have blessed us, one, with allowing us to come to their gym. Coach Carnicella, this is his domain, his palace, but he's opened up doors for so many fighters, professional, amateur, that have had the ability to come home to train here. If they have fights at the Prudential Center, where it's local, you can get to Prudential Center in about 20, 25 minutes. But I'm really excited, man, because Ricky is a special human being who you've connected me with. You've been friends with Ricky for a very long time. Ricky has been great friends and family with, of course, Dr. Grant, who is your mentor. And I have the blessing of meeting him, because I remember at one point he wanted to educate me on improving my English literature. And I was looking forward to those lessons. As a sports broadcaster, as a host of a podcast, as a person who's done journalism, those things were very important in my life in that time.
Dr. Grant would come up to you and say, "You need some help, son. You need help. You need to help you, because your shit's not right."
Let's introduce these two legends, Coach Carnicella of the Carnicella Boxing Gym here, MMA, and the great Hall of Famer. It's got a nice ring to it. Huh? Hall of Famer, Mr. Ricky. Slick Rick, Vera. Now, we had a theme song. We would play it.
I wish we could play it. That'd be fun.
Let's go. Coach Carnicella in the house. Let's go.
Slick Rick.
Look at him. He's got the hat. He's got the shirt. Hall of Famer.
It's about time I got you in this seat, because usually it's the other way around. You're telling me a bunch of jokes. So, I got you now, baby. You in my circle.
Dr. Grant said,
this is so, yes, sir, doctor.
We're here. Episode 24. Thank you both. First off, thank you, Coach Carnicella, for blessing us with the opportunity to do episode 24 from your gym. It was really easy. You were really outgoing with the process. Of course, I'm sorry, Ricky played a major part in this happening, but I just want to say personally, thank you for allowing us to be here. But we've had 3 fighters that you have had the pleasure to watch and also train in this gym, all on different roads to the same destination, as of course being professional and also being a champion. But talk to me a little bit from your perspective as seeing these 3 fighters develop to get to where they are, but also knowing that they have the capabilities and the talent to get to the higher level with Vicki, with Benny, and of course with the champion Gil.
First, it was my pleasure having everyone here. Like I said, it was, especially with Ricky, I want to thank him a lot, because Ricky does a lot of things under the radar that nobody knows, and he takes care of a lot of things here. So I really appreciate. As far as the fighters, as far as how they're different or how their road, everyone has their own little story. And from looking at someone like Vicki, who basically, came in here as a CrossFit, competitor. She was an athlete coming in, but she really didn't have any type of aspirations to be a fighter. So to see her actually put the dedication after working and doing different things that she does, it really tells a lot about her. Like she's very dedicated. She comes in here like you mentioned before. She works. She has to get up early in the morning. She has to come here and train. And she's doing a sport that it's not like any other sport or hobby. It's a sport that, unfortunately, you have to be dedicated. You need the time because something can happen really bad if you don't put the time. And that's like basically the way I am as a coach. I never looked at it. It's almost like an interview process. I look at what she had to offer and say, if you can't do this right, even though she finally made the decision to go pro, but if I felt that she couldn't dedicate herself with enough time, I would have just discouraged her from doing it because I'm a realist, and that's one of the things that when it comes to coaching that I think today too many people are. My line's always like, we have too many cheerleaders, we don't have coaches, and I'm not a cheerleader. I'll keep it to you real, and if people want the truth, they're gonna hear it, and I do it because I care about them, and I really don't want to see someone, God forbid, get hurt or something happen only because they want to do it. But if you can't commit to something, I don't care how much you want something. If you can't put the time in, then it's really not really worth it, And that's why I try to push with most of these kids. Like in Benny's case, he came here, he was like 16 and a half. I mean, he didn't even finish like or go to college, like for wrestling, whatever he did, he took to the sport, I would say very fast because that's what he wanted to do. And I respected that. He dedicated himself. He went through some things in his own life, and he never let anything bother him. He just, pushed always forward. And that's, and obviously everyone's life is different. So I can't take that cookie cutter approach to everything. Like everyone's different. If I know that you want to do it, I'm going to push you. That's the only difference. Like once you kind of sign on the dotted line in a sense of saying, I want to be a fighter, I'm not just being a hobbyist, then my attitude towards him has to change, and the same thing with Gil. Gil's been fighting since he was young. He's did jujitsu. He had bare knuckle fights. He has Thai boxing professional, and he's just one of those people that he loves to fight. And and he's very respectful. You don't have to worry about him doing anything or having to tell him more than once. He puts his time in. So everybody's kind of different. Like I can't treat everyone exactly the same, but I do treat the grind the same. Everyone has to grind. I don't care. I don't look at if you're a female fighter, male fighter, if I'm gonna open my mouth and scream, I'm not gonna sit there and go, oh, I have to be careful what I say. I really don't. If anybody knows me, I don't really care what anybody thinks.
Sounds familiar, don't it, Brian?
Oh yeah, sure do. That's my motto too. I really don't care about your feelings. Because if your feelings are hurt, that means that you care. And in fact, if I'm making you work harder, that means I'm making something out of you. That was always my motto. If you start caring too much about their feelings, that means you're not doing your job as a coach. That's something that I carried with myself over the past 30 years of coaching, and it has worked for 99% of the student athletes that I've had. So my hat goes off to you in keeping that model, and I appreciate it.
Well, thank you. Like I said before, if you're not hating me at least a couple of times during camp, then I didn't do my job.
Yep.
I didn't do it right. So, you can always love me later.
Yep.
And like I always tell people,
Yep.
you're gonna hate me now, but that's been basically my motto. I mean, it's a constant grind, especially if you want to take it to the level that these fighters are taking it to. I pretty much can differentiate between a hobbyist and a true professional that wants to be a professional fighter.
Mhm.
There's a difference. Some people come in here, not everyone comes in here, they have their own battles. They have their own titles to win. It could be just for mental health. It could be whatever's going on in their life. They want to better their life. We've had individuals come here, a majority of them become professionals. They become police officers, firefighters, who became a doctor, lawyer. That's what we're here to change lives. But once the person says, I want to do this for a living and this is my life, then my attitude has to be different. I cannot treat everyone the same because the hobbyist is different, even though it's important for them to learn the art. But for them to grind every day, it takes a special person to do that. And that's why I really appreciate what they, what they've become,
Right.
and how they take to it, and they follow orders. It's like, I'm big on having people understand what they're supposed to do, and just be disciplined. That's the key.
Yeah, I've had a couple friends of mine mention about the training part that goes with it, and they said that's the toughest thing that they have ever gone through. And they play football with me, and they said it's 10 times worse going through that type of training to get yourself ready as a hobbyist, not an actual fighter. So I can imagine the things that they are going through to get themselves prepared to go for battle. I couldn't do it. Maybe when in my younger days I can try it, but I respect them so much, it's unbelievable.
It's a tough sport.
Woo! This is great. Tough sport. Do you think I have what it takes?
Sure.
I didn't like that answer, but I respect it.
I have to see.
You guys see me in action? You put me through a course, like a training evaluation. Rick, you think I got what it takes?
It takes a lot of work.
Professional fighting was never in my calling cards.
Beyond what you can fathom.
I'm good right here. I enjoy this.
Yeah.
This is my passion. Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
Rick, man, welcome.
Thank you.
How are you?
I am great.
It's good to have you. I'm really blessed to have you here. Because not only do I have a coach who's trained many of talent, amateur, professional, I have an official, legendary Hall of Famer referee who's been in the business for a very long time, over 3 years.
Over 30 years, easily.
Inducted into the Hall of Fame in New Jersey.
Sparring partner. For years. Been in the ring with some pretty nice names.
Big names.
And don't want to gloat, but I put in the work.
You have.
I learned from.
Been in movies.
A lot of great people.
HBO, boxing.
I'll tell you about a feature about Paulie Carnicella. We always knew of Paulie Carnicella. We were neighborhood kids. And, my son is involved in this. He's a member of this gym. He's family here. And I remember two coaches saying this about him. The great Jose Rosario, Hall of Famer. I approached him. I said, look, my son wants to fight. And Jose was excited. He says, oh, he's going to go ahead and start boxing. I said, no, MMA. But had a few people pick up the phone, call, say, Rick, your kid is a really hard worker. Be nice to get him in the gym. And I wasn't sure what I could do with him because I really don't want to interfere with coaches. And I approached Jose Rosario and I said, Jose, my boy wants to really compete in MMA and he's really a dedicated kid. And you know him well since he was a young child. And the first name he pulled out of a hat, he said, Rick, there's a lot of coaches out there for this sport in New Jersey, but there's one that builds fighters from the ground up. He is safe. He builds fighters from the ground up, and he's a no-nonsense coach. He tells it like it is. And he says, Paulie Carnicella. And I'm like, wow, it's under my nose. And I never even thought about it.
Right.
And so I spoke to my son and I said, look, I'm going to take you up to meet somebody and introduce you to him and see if you like the gym. And he made it his home. This is where he wants to be. And so he was here tonight. And Paulie has him 100%. And I don't interfere. I get to just watch his progress. And as soon as he has that last wrestling match, his ass is Paulie's. So his ass is Paulie's now, but it's definitely, we spoke about it. He's going to run free and he doesn't want to waste a lot of time. He says once he takes his vacation to heal from wrestling, he's right back in the gym to get ready to move on his first fight. So, Paulie will be his coach, and that's our family right now. And it's been great coming here and staying fit and sparring on Saturdays and wrestling on Wednesdays. And, it keeps me sharp for what I do as a referee. I love combative sports. I love what these guys are made out of. I believe that fighters have tough questions to answer deep inside. And when you ask that question, what makes you fight? A lot of times we don't know what makes them fight. I never knew why I got in the ring, but I knew that there was a little anger locked up inside of me, and I had to prove something to myself. And I think these fighters work under the same premise. You always hear on interviews how some of them were bullying. You're like, no way. The great Martinez, middleweight champion of the world, he was one of them. Said, I was bullied when I was a kid. And, I had to figure something out. Jose Rosario told me he was bullied. And then you see him on the Nationals winning probably three or four times out of the 5 times he fought the national Cuban team. Okay, so, they take it pretty far and become Hall of Famers. They have something to fight for. When you sat here speaking to Vicki, there's something for her to fight for.
Absolutely.
She has an answer.
Yes.
And it runs deep.
In her.
It runs deep in her.
Yes.
And they're ready to take their souls into the abyss. And they're ready to be tested. How they get there is hard to answer the question. But he's dealt with a lot of mindsets throughout the years. He's had them at all levels. And he can tell you, there's a fire in the ones that want to do this, that burns deep.
So, Rick, you brought up a good point when you talked about mindsets. And Coach, you've been in this business or a professional industry for a very long time, and you've coached many different mindsets. For the people out there that may not know the process of becoming an amateur or the process of becoming a pro, what is it that you see when you evaluate that person, rather male or female, and he or she has the capabilities, the mindset, the discipline, but most importantly, the drive to get to that finish line of being a professional, fighting at the highest level, but more importantly, being a champion?
Yeah, so basically everyone goes through an evaluation period whether it's not like we said, I interview them as I talk to them when they come in, and I ask them, like, what are your goals? Do you want to do this as a bucket list, or do you want to do this for taking it to the highest level possible? So once I get that, I kind of go with that. And then their actions kind of dictate what I do as far as evaluating them. Because if I got some people that say, I want to be a fighter, who says, I want to be a fighter, and then they come in once every 2 weeks, so they'll come in twice a week. And we're talking about my fighters minimum, they're between 5 and 6 days a week training. Wow. And there's no and now things happen, you get sick, something comes up with, some were young, so they have their job related. But for the most part, that's what I really look for. And I can tell by the way they carry themselves. So especially when we do certain drills, I can tell if somebody, number one, is doing the drill and doing it to the point where they need me to say stop, or somebody that's kind of sandbagging. And that's what I look for. I look to see who's not going to quit. Who's the person that's going to take when things are going bad? Who's going to step up? And anybody can do anything when they're comfortable. So what I do is, no matter what we do, whether it's boxing that day, whether it's wrestling, whether it's kickboxing, whether it's jujitsu, I want to put them in a position where they're uncomfortable. That's all it is, and that goes along with life. You're only going to be decided about how good you are is when you get put in a position that you're uncomfortable. And that's my job, is to do it without hurting the person. Obviously, I don't want anybody getting tortured, but there's certain positions where people have to grind. And that's all I really try to do. I put everybody in a position where, do you really want it that badly? And that's what I kind of look at. Because some people start off, again, you could be what I call quarter milers. They could run good for a quarter mile and then they quit. So they could be looking really good, but it's a long process. Like we talked about Benny, he's had already 6 fights and then he has a kickboxing match. He's undefeated. He won 2 different belts, 2 different organizations. And it's looking great. But I always tell people there's still a long road ahead of you. You still, from the amateurs, how many times in boxing we see really good amateurs, they don't just cut it as a pro because who knows what happens in their life. But I can see good in the fighters that come here.
All right, we just had a little bit of technical difficulties coming up here and being in a different environment with the internet. So we're going to fight through it and get through it. But, you know, leading into our Mr. Ricky Vera talking to me and to the audience about boxing and the boxing piece. And, you know, I have a cousin, Tyrell Dogan, that's also, I'm not sure if he's amateur or he just had quite a few fights. And I've watched on Facebook and with certain links. Talk to me about what does it take and what does it entail with becoming a professional boxer and some of the things that he may need to look into, because I'm quite sure at the rate that he's going to eventually probably wind up seeing you officiating one of his fights. So you can talk to us about what he should look forward to and what he should just keep doing as a young professional boxer.
Well, the game doesn't change for anybody. It's the grind. It's the hard work. It's the belief system, right? The coaches handle that. He handles his craft. And it's really staying focused, staying on course. That'll get you where you got to go. Whatever your level is, it'll show up. But you can't beat a worker. You can't beat a grinder. I think you asked Gil, or I think Benny asked Gil, what is the most challenging fighter that you could, style fighter that you can face? And the first thing he said is a grinder. No matter what you do, he just continues to be in your face. He could be cut up, he could be beat up, but his will and his spirit is not broken. And so with fighters, all of them, it has been the same. And I think that is true with all sports. You have to dig deep and you have to be persistent. And, you know, coaches, you know, cannot be yes men. They're developing machines here. And, you know, if you're a if you want to be a gym teacher, that's fine. Nothing against gym teachers, but they have their place. Coaching combative sports is quite challenging. You're dealing with a whole lot. And many times, you know, as a referee, I can tell you lives are at stake.
Well, that's something that, and you're absolutely correct with me coaching over the years, it kind of separates the true pro athlete from the amateur athlete to the person that's doing this recreationally, how far they can get pushed in order for them to get across that hurdle to being a pro. And a lot of kids, young kids these days don't understand. They just want to walk in and think they're a pro until they actually see pros and what they actually go through. So without any question, I respect that. And that's something that these young men and young ladies need to know what it takes to be a professional athlete. Correct.
And a lot of the referees you see out there, the Harvey Ducks, David Fields, myself, and a few others, we've been in the ring. You know, you see us now at this age and moving around, but there was a time we were in there with hammers. We were in there moving around with some guys, you know, that were legends. I mean, I sparred guys like Howard Davis Jr., you know, 76 Olympian, and many, many more. So, you know, just to get to later on, Jose Rosario telling me, hey, I need you as an official. You know, I remember my first fight, I was proposed my first professional fight. I think it was going to be against a close friend of mine who I sparred regularly at the gym, was Glenn Wharton. And of course, I had a business, and I said, you know, I'm not going to fight professionally, but I'll still continue to be in the gym. I'll still continue to be a rat, and I'll still continue to give rounds, because it wasn't hard to do. You know, you had Teddy Atlas on one side. You had Tommy Parks on the other. You had Jose Rosario sitting on another side. You had Emmanuel Mayfield and Charlie Jones on another chair. I mean, you walked up to the gym at Red Brick Gym, and you better bring your mouthpiece, your hand wraps, and your gloves. Because the first thing they did is when you pulled up, they asked you if you got 5 in you. You got 3 in you. And that was the chatter.
Right.
Something about what Paulie said reminded me of a movie, $1 Million Baby. He has to gauge the fighter. And if you remember that movie, the actor that was the coach, the guy that made the Westerns. Do you remember the coach, $1 Million Baby? Clint Eastwood. So if you remember the movie, Paulie mentioned something that he gauges his fights based on the work they do. And if you remember in the movie, it took a long time for Clint Eastwood to acknowledge her. And why? Because he would look at her through the corner of his eye and he would watch her work. And she would never falter. And he wouldn't say much to her, but then it got to the point where he would tell her, keep your hands up. And he didn't say much more, and he walked away, and she would get happier and happier and work harder and harder. And then he would come around a week later and say, hey, you gotta keep your feet underneath you. And then he would just walk away and he wouldn't say anything. And that's pretty much what Coach Paulie was telling you is he watches, he sees, they think he doesn't see every move. He sees every move. He knows all their tactics. He knows who's slacking, who's not slacking. I don't care. He sees it all. He's been in this over 40 years. He's like a chameleon. His eyes move all over the place. And he catches a glimpse, and that's all he needs to see. And sometimes he moves on to the next side, but then he'll come back. Listen, he breaks up the action, and he'll tell it like it is. Trainers watch growth. They watch prospects. And when the time comes, they're there. They will be there for them. And that's what you saw in $1 Million Baby. She got ignored until she could get ignored no more. This girl has what it takes. And what it takes is you have to grind. As officials, we watch tons of reviews. We watch all the referees. We're out there learning from each other a lot of times. I've been fortunate enough to have been pulled out in the state of New Jersey by one of the greatest referees of all time, Larry Hazard. So it's been great having him at the helm for many reasons, particularly because, he wrote the Unified Rules of Boxing. And once these rules took off, they're all over the world. So it's fair to say nobody knows the rules better than Larry.
Because he wrote them.
Because he wrote them. And so, but he's also has a background in education. Which also makes him a great teacher, when it comes to the sweet science. And so you're learning from the best.
Your teachers are your best coaches.
Yeah, and we've been in there. And now we're learning from someone who's also been there. But he pretty much pioneered this officiating profession single-handedly. Through the years, he has mentors that he really appreciates and is grateful for, and we all do. And so we just don't become officials. Our time, the many countless hours we have spent in the gyms around some of the greatest coaches and greatest fighters pretty much is our resume for the most part. And then our dedication to answering the call when the phone rings.
Who are some of your best fights that you've had that pretty much everybody knows? Who have you been in the ring with?
I've been in the ring with a lot. I've been in the ring with the Ghost Guerrero. I've been in the ring with Garcia. I've been in the ring with WBA champ Sold Erday, Sakio Bika. One of my most entertaining fights, I'd probably have to say, had to be with Armando Serrano. Yeah, that was great. Watching her develop and watching where she is today is spectacular. A lot of times, Ronda Rousey didn't get a lot of clout, but she sure put a lot of asses in the seat. She put a lot of asses in the seat. And the reason I always respected her is she really got the women's fight game to blow up. Because she was the number one paid MMA fighter at the time, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. And after that, the UFC just took off with all the female fighters, and then boxing took off right after that.
I truly enjoyed watching females fight. That's something that is just wild to me.
It's a thing of beauty.
Oh.
It's a thing of beauty, to have them on board and being as busy as they are. I mean, we got a big one coming back now, the third one, Amanda Serrano and the Irish fighter. So that's going to be one for the ages, and so they've contributed so much to the game, and they're pretty much changing it.
It's just,
They're having a major impact.
I'm intrigued by, the WNBA is changing, the boxing is changing, the MMA is changing, golf is changing.
It's all becoming a thing of its own.
It's a thing by itself. It's not been forced. It's except for the WNBA, it's been forced. But, we'll talk about that later. But at the end of the day, it's growing and it's getting better.
It sure is. It sure is.
Yeah.
Sometimes as an official, you can't be a fan. You're totally neutral, but you really get to appreciate and love the work that they do.
No question. No question about it.
It takes a tough man and a tough woman to step onto that apron. Win, lose, or draw, the thrill of victory and the agony of defeat will always reign supreme.
There's no question.
In combative sports.
No question. No question about it. And I can't think of the young lady that I watched, young African-American female that is just a bruiser. Like she don't quit. I saw that one fight. I cannot remember her name for anything. And I was amazed by the toughness that she has. She was done after I guess she knocked this one young lady out in the third round, and she just wanted more. She just run, and I said, "Man, she can probably beat some of the guys out there." I'm just like, "Oh, so
I bet.
Yeah, man, she was tough. She was definitely tough."
So, what's the matter? Somebody gave me one. Pass Coach Carnicella one because, Coach, you've. I'm assuming you're a fan of the sport MMA, both men and women. But recently, with the news of, in my opinion, definitely one of the all-time greats, my favorite MMA fighter is Forrest Griffin. Big Forrest Griffin fan. But with Anderson Silva, the great Brazilian. No, he's American. Yes, Anderson Silva. Anderson Silva. No, Anderson Silva's Brazilian. I got that mixed up because what was that one fight that I think fans wanted and it just didn't happen in Anderson Silva's career? Because he didn't fight John Jones, did he?
No, they were different weight division.
Different weight division. Okay, so the point of it is John Jones announcing his retirement. The way he went about his retirement have pissed some fans off. And you, knowing the sport, one, what's your reaction to his recent news of retiring? And with his retirement, what do you think that does for the sport of MMA?
I mean, John spent most of his career, he was a 205 fighter, and there's really nothing left for him to have done. I mean, he's the best light heavyweight by far. So he just, again, he challenged himself and he went up, he fought in the heavyweight, he beat the heavyweight. And basically, they had the name out there for him to fight. He was supposed to fight Tom Aspinall, and which, that's the fight that everybody's looking at. But make no mistake about it. At the end of the day, that's a lightweight fighting as a heavyweight, and you can never count John out of anything because he is, they can say what they want, but especially at 205, he's the greatest. And then people are going to look at some things on his personal level or whatever happened, but as far as a fighter goes, there's nobody that can deny that. It's just the way it is now. It's as a heavyweight, and that goes for me. The same thing I say about boxing. I'm sure there's still. I mean, Roy Jones did it. Other fighters have tried to do it, but you have to be in a division for a long time to be considered the greatest in that division. Just because you beat, like I said, Roy Jones, I think he's one of the greatest middleweights. I mean, his style, you can't do what he did. You can't teach that. But
No.
for him to move up and fight a light heavyweight to win, to beat a heavyweight when he was basically weighing at 160, it's not the same as his doing his whole career as a heavyweight. So there's always an impact because John Jones is somebody who everybody wants to see fight, whether you love him or hate him. He's accomplished
Box
everything.
office.
Yeah, and and no matter what he does, people want to see him fight. So there's going to have a certain level of disappointment because you just want him to fight. If he could fight till he's 50, they want him to fight.
Yeah.
So but you have to be objective when you look at it and not say, oh, he did this, he doesn't want to fight, he doesn't want to fight. Only John knows what he wants to do. And, he's the person that everybody, a lot of people got upset because they felt that if he didn't want to fight, he was keeping the division kind of held hostage. But other than that, he did everything at 205 that he wanted to. He became a heavyweight champion, so you can't take that away from him. We can't deny that. So that I think he's always going to have an impact. He's going to go down. I mean, everybody's going to say he was the greatest to do it at his division. And I think that's important to know that.
Do you think this hurts MMA with his retirement, or you think they'll be fine in that division? Because as Ric Flair says, to be the best, you have to beat the best. And with him retiring, of course, on his own terms. Do you agree with the decision at this particular time, or is this something that people in the MMA, fans of the MMA, are going to go craving about because they didn't get what they wanted, and that was to see him fight one last time?
I think it goes away. I think we make a bigger deal out of it at the moment. But if you see all the greatest fighters after a while, like Anderson Silva, and even in the boxing world, if the true fans and the true people that study, they remember history, and history is big. Like I'm a big history buff when it comes to boxing. I've watched it since I was a kid. I remember watching the first fight that got me into the boxing was Hagler Antifermo. It was like one of the first fights that I watched on TV, and I was like amazed by it. So if you really understand the sport and you like the history, it's I don't think, I mean, you're going to always appreciate it, but the new generations that come out, they seem like they forget, like the Anderson Silva, Chuck Liddell, all those old, the people that had that made MMA what it was. I mean, when they fought Forrest Griffin, that fight when he fought against Bonner, that was a big, that
classic.
was what made it. It was a classic. But
Classic.
some fans that just start off, they might not remember. Maybe, who knows? They should remember John Jones. We're all supposed to know Sugar Ray Robinson. We're all supposed to know great fighters like Julio Cesar Chavez Sr., everybody. But if you talk to a lot of young fans, they don't even know who they
don't
are.
know.
So, I think that the sport will, it's like that, the tide rises, the tide falls. I mean, I just think that it's going to happen. People are going to forget, or they're going to bring up his name and say, what do you think would have happened? And
What do you think?
it's hard to tell. I mean, I think Tom's very big. I mean, you're talking about fighting a very big, strong heavyweight who's done nothing but fight as a heavyweight. He could throw, he could punch, and he can grapple. So it's just very hard to decide. And then you have someone like John Jones that brings in a tremendous amount of experience. So it's hard to just say, no, he definitely would lose or he'll definitely win. I wouldn't be able to get that, that assessment. I'd have to see. And then we're talking about, we don't know, John's older. We don't know the injuries that he's hidden from people. I mean, every fighter goes in that cage injured. It's a matter of how injured they are, but everyone goes in there with an injury, their knees, their back, their neck. So it's not it's not that easy of a call to make. You know,
Shout out to John Jones. Tremendous Hall of Fame career, soon to be a Hall of Famer when it's all said and done. One of the greatest heavyweights of all time. You can make the argument in the UFC world. The pioneer, one of the true pioneers of that sport to help bring it to the level of where it's at today, being a billion-dollar business and billion-dollar industry. But do you guys like hot takes? Not sure if you guys are familiar with hot takes. Do you guys like it? It would sort of be like an ESPN breaking news type of thing, like John Jones officially retiring. So every week, if you don't know, for the people that haven't watched the Rewind or do watch it, every week we do, Coach Garv does his own hot take where he picks something from anything in the world, Trump to Nick Saban to Caitlin Clark to Angel Reese, and I can't promise you what he'll say. I can't promise you what he'll do. But what I will say is you will be thrilled and entertained by his hot take. So this week's edition, live edition of the Rewind, episode 24, is time for Coach Garv's hot take. Here we go, folks.
Now, Uncle Ricky, you know, in boxing, you know, and myself being involved with being an inspector for about those 3 or 4 months and understanding the rules of the game in boxing, explain to everyone, what does taking a knee means? What is, how does that happen when a person can take a knee and not have it count as being a knockdown? Explain to me those rules, because I myself, you know, and I don't have that much experience in the rules in boxing like you do. And a lot of other people may not understand the rules of it, and how do you count punches, and what is really a punch versus a miss versus a block. Explain to me this situation in great detail, and you can explain it to everyone else about what actually happened during this fight.
I recall this fight. The official is a darn good official. Worked with him in the amateur, super amateur official, great colleague. But I'll say this, when it comes to boxing, there's always going to be something that you are going to experience at some point in some of the matches that you never experienced before. And sometimes you can get slightly disrupted. So sitting at home, watching this, it looked to me like just an 8 count. For whatever reason, whether he went down from a blow or he needed time or help from the official, that was the first thing. And there were a few scenarios that played out. You know, the other thing was, you know, as he begins to run to his corner, it almost looks like a abandonment, right? We don't have any clarity yet. The referee working the bout probably saw something that we didn't see. And then the third thing that followed was there were people on the apron. Usually when you have people on the apron, that could cause you a disqualification. It turns out that he wanted to get his face wiped. Mm-hmm. Maybe that was one of the things the official noticed, that there was some sort of interference throughout the bout. But once he takes that knee, I'm just going to take the precautionary measure of counting to 8. Mm-hmm. And then, and I think he begun the count, if I'm not mistaken. But he also might have had more data than we had, because he's in the ring and he might have seen some stuff that was evident to him with the eyes. either way, I guess just do the 8 count, saves a lot of headache.
Mhm.
And it would have been the right call. Just do the 8 count. So I think that's he might have even explained that. So that was an 8 count.
Yeah, it's something I would never, second guess an official inside that ring because, for one thing, and I try to use my own scorecards when I'm at home versus scorecards that's there, live, and I always get it wrong because these guys are actually there and they see more because they're sitting right there in front of you. They will see more of scoring than the normal person from a TV.
Right.
It's amazing how that view makes a world of a difference.
And it's great that, well, there was no instant replay either for him to be able to cross-reference at the time. But the one thing I learned from these things is that it was great that it happened in a sense because we learned from each other.
Mm-hmm.
So when we see something like this, we're getting a lesson in real time.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll call each other and cross-reference and educate each other on what may have been the right call. So we don't bash each other. We just learn from each other. But that was an 8 count.
Rick brings up the point of instant replay. In real time, it could be portrayed as one thing. In this situation here, you're saying with his knee on the ground, it should be automatic 8 count from the rules. Now, for the people out there that may not understand the rules, what do you mean when you say when that knee hits the ground, regardless of the fighter or the fight, it's an automatic 8 count?
Right.
Can you break that down?
So it's an automatic 8 count. And basically, that 8 count is for us to analyze the boxer, the athlete. A lot of things could have happened there. Did he have a late reaction, right? But it was obvious he didn't because he looked at the official, right? He took a knee, ran to his corner, which is now you're not sure this is happening in real time.
Right.
So this can be confusing. Was that abandonment? And then as he goes to the corner, his corner comes up to wipe him. Usually the inspectors take care of that. And could that be a disqualification? At the end of the day, the 8 count would have snuffed all of that. But it allows us to analyze the boxer. That's it. It just says, there's no standing 8 count, no 3 knockdown rule in effect, and you cannot be saved by the bell in any round, including the last round.
Right.
So if that last round tolls, you still got to finish your count. You still got to finish analyzing that boxer and making sure that he's off the canvas. It happens. We all as officials get our opportunities at seeing something that we were never confronted with before, like a double knockdown. And so, you prepare for it all the time. A great mentor of mine told me about the double knockdown, Benji Estevez. And, there it came that day. There it comes that day. And it happens. And then you're like, here I am.
Here I am in the moment, live.
Right. And many other scenarios. I mean, this is an evolving sport. The rules are constantly, as far as the rules, they're always there. Sometimes the organizations have a different tweak to the rules that could also impact. And so, things will present themselves. And that's why instant replay sometimes plays a major role. And I, for one, am happy that we have it.
Yeah.
We have it because we're human.
We are. We make mistakes.
And things happen quickly.
Real time.
These are amazing, super fast human beings. And, when you saw that young man get up and shoot to his catapult to his corner, I mean, that was happening that was happening in insta-seconds.
Right. He's sprinting.
And you got to think through all of this. you know, you're thinking through all of this. What's going on here?
Right.
You know, knockdown, you know, and so it plays out as a lesson for all of us out here. And, you know, we're grateful to the official who put it on display and he made a comment on it. And I think it was along the lines, keep that 8 count. Whatever you do, keep that 8 count. I think he was steadfast on that comment. So mad respect for my brother.
I love that. Get another perspective as an official. My last 2 questions for you both before we get ready to take this thing off for episode 24. You both are at pretty good stages in your life as well as your careers. You've pushed through so much adversity, so much setbacks to overcome so many things to get to where you at. I'm sure it wasn't easy to obtain this place, to make this a home, build it year in and year out, brick by brick, to have the foundation of what you have now for multiple athletes, high school, college, and of course, amateur and pro to come here and train. But for you, Rick, and your professional career, being a Hall of Famer, being in the sport for over 30 years, who are some of the pioneers or mentors that have helped you get to where you are in your journey and your career? And what advice would you give to someone that you may want to pass that down to as the next generation?
Yeah, I mean, I had many. You know, right now I'm living in this house here at Carnicella MMA. He's a mentor in many ways. I watch him work. I enjoy his coaching. I go in there, I spar on Saturdays with all types of athletes. I see his style. I see how he treats his fighters. And also how he teaches his fighters. He's just not a coach, he's a teacher. And when they retire, somehow they end up coming back. You know, we got Frankie Buenafuente here, still teaching and coaching. Mike Macenzio was there
Legend.
today.
Saw him earlier.
Legend.
Yes.
You know, just sitting in there coaching the wrestling.
Giving back.
You know, one of the things that he does extremely well is he teaches the athletes to be in each other's corner. You never see that. We train you. I may not be available all the time. You're in camps together. You know each other. You're going to be in each other's corners sometimes because I'm not going to be in all the corners. So learn from each other, help each other, you know, be each other's teammates in camps because you might have to work these corners.
Right.
Right. So a lot of coaches may not do that. He's one of the guys that puts you in the corner early. What I would always say is there's something to learn from everyone. If you think you know it all, you know very little or nothing at all. Ooh. And so mentors, they come in different shapes and sizes.
Oh, I know.
Sometimes it's just things they say a certain way. Some guys are able to articulate things that stay with you. Some guys are able to teach and demonstrate things that stay with you. I can name them all. You know, I can start with a guy, a neighborhood guy like Victor Samora of Newark, New Jersey, who ran a swim club, who at a young age, I was at a gym, boxing gym, and he told me when you get to high school, you have to wrestle because it's the closest thing to boxing. And if you want, I can take you to East Side and I can introduce you to the wrestling coach. And I never knew nothing about wrestling. I had to call my uncle who wrestled. And sure enough, he says, listen to him. He's got the right idea. And so the first thing I did was join the wrestling club, you know, wrestling team. No experience in wrestling. Came out of, you know, I was throwing my hands a lot in the gym and running around as a kid. Now I'm going into high school and I'm wrestling suddenly, you know. And we didn't have a great team because the team was deteriorated, but I put in my time and my years. I wrestled every year. And it was a great experience. And so I take my hat off to Victor Samora of Newark, who ran the swim team and the running team for many years. After that, there were many. Jose Rosario, was definitely one of the guys that had a major, major impact. Not to mention, he made me spar everybody that came through that gym. So it wasn't always easy. Tommy Parks was another great influence. Teddy Atlas shared some great words. Here and there, he was in there with a few fighters, including one in particular, Elvin Maricki, which I got to share a lot of time with. Charlie Jones, Freddie Jackson, and many, many more. So we don't know it all, and it takes a village. But learn. If you have an opportunity from learning something from someone who's been there, learn it, listen, absorb it. There's got to be something you can take with you. There's got to be a bit of knowledge you can snatch and steal and put in your back pocket, right? It's not all nonsense.
No.
You even learn from the ones that are not so great.
That's true.
Because they teach you how to stay away from
Nonsense.
what's not so good.
Yeah.
You learn. I sit here and every time I'm in this room and he's coaching, I'm learning so many things about dealing with the fighters, dealing with their personalities. I mean, you see a lot of stuff happen. And it's a whirlwind. But you also see the law, the law and order in it all. You see its place. And so I'm sure all I can tell the young people that are in this with goals and with dreams and with hopes is that they learn, that they listen and they learn. They'll look back and not be sorry. For sure, they'll look back and not be sorry.
Wow. Coach, you hear those words, of course, from someone you can call a brother, family. You've supported him on his career. You were there at his Hall of Fame induction ceremony, which was a great ceremony from what I hear. Mentorship, pioneers, inspiration, people of those things that have helped you be who you are today, that you come into this gym each and every day and give your passion to everyone else, training-wise. Who are some of those people, and what does it mean to you to hear those words, of course, from the great Hall of Famer, Ricky Vera?
Well, first, I can't say enough about Ricky. I mean, he's been, besides being in the room and getting down and getting dirty with the fighters, which is a rare thing because most of us as coaches, like we need to be hands-on. It's like there's like almost a definite difference when you can mix it up with some of the fighters. You could do things that most coaches don't get to do. And the only reason why we do it is, and that's why looking at the way he does is the same with me, is because God has still given us the ability to do it. So I don't blame anybody who can't do it, because that means that they refuse to do it or they just can't physically do it anymore. So as long as God takes care of me and gives me my health and gives Ricky, I'm sure he's going to be on the mats and in the ring and sparring and doing everything like he always does. And I can't speak enough of what he does. And like I said, there's a lot of things that he does behind the scenes. And that's usually the ones you can trust the most, that don't need to be out there always showing what they do, but we could see what he does. And I'm blessed because I have a great staff here. I mean, like as far as the fighters that are being training partners, I have Coach Rick, I have Coach Donnie, Chioffi, I have Coach Raj, Chance. I have all the other coaches. Had another good coach, may his soul rest in peace, Mark DiGiovanni, who passed away, very close friend. He was one of the first people that got me to get into boxing, because that's why I started. I would say my first martial art would be boxing. And I was blessed to have great coaches and great people around me. You know, Johnny Pearsall, I was in Lopez's gym, Richie Rivera, people that I trained with in Bufanos. I took from each and every one, and I felt like I have a pretty good memory. So a lot of the drills or a lot of things that they went over, I kept with me. And, make some mistakes here and there, but like I said, and then my experience, because I still teach as a police academy instructor, I take that mentality, because that's what I did for a long time. I taught, instructed, and that mindset of pushing people and making them the best that they can be, I take that and I transfer. I usually bring that over into the fighting world because they don't believe in what they can do. Most like police recruits didn't understand what they had in them, and me being an instructor, that's something that, and I learned from great people as former law enforcement. That's why I had that mindset. I was always pushing and saying, if I can do it, you could do it. And I think that, and all these people in my life, and starting with my father, being a military veteran, World War II veteran,
Wow.
Battle of Bastogne. And I always tell people, like, it was the way I grew up, and I can't see myself being any other way. I just can't see myself letting people not earn, get what whatever you do is what you're going to get out. And I don't reward anybody. I reward the people that deserve to be rewarded. If you're a worker, you're going to get treated different than if you're a get over. That's the way I was brought up. We're the ones that basically we have to be the ones that decide what happens to us. So, and like I said, I have so many people out there that I was blessed to be around.
Talk about mentors, shapes and sizes. I have been fortunate, of course, to be in positions where I may not want to hear it. I just may want you to just shut the hell up or be bothered with you. Don't talk to me. But for this journey of what I'm currently on to get to my dreams and aspirations of where I know I want to be, but to have a mentor like this guy to have an impact. I think people have had impact on your lives to help you be the person you are, that shapes you, that molds you, that builds you up, tears you down, rebuilds you up again, gives you that tough love, gives you that discipline that I know I didn't receive at home personally when my dad passed when I was a few months old. But that was a great message that you shared. And I'm thankful for your words because it takes me back to a place where I didn't have it, or at least have access to it. And to be here with three great men who I'm inspired and blessed to sit next to. And all three of you have walked different walks of life, but you can say I've overcome everything and anything that life has thrown at me, and to still stand up strong, look yourself in the mirror every day with God giving us the opportunity to wake up for another 24 hours. You guys are all blessed. You guys inspire me. And I don't know, of course, you that well, Coach, and I don't know you that well, Ricky, but just from this conversation here and knowing the journey you guys have been on and the amount of people you inspire and the amount of lives you changed and the opportunities you've given hundreds of people, rather those opportunities worked out for granted for their own lives, for betterment, or rather it just didn't work out, but you gave those people the opportunity. And I think that's the beauty of life. Not all great men are good men, but Mike Tyson says, but most good men can become great men. And I'm honored to be here. So we're going to close this thing out. Rewind of the week, our last segment. Want to thank Coach Carnicella, his gym, his palace, but it couldn't have been built without the help of many people like Coach Carnicella and his friends, his brothers, Slick Rick, Uncle Rick. Chris, rewind of the week, man. Let's take this thing home. Let's go. So, gents, I'm not sure if you guys know or have been aware that we have a new NBA champion, the Oklahoma City Thunder, 2025 NBA champs. This is their first title in organization history. Seattle Supersonics at one point, yes, dismantled. Oklahoma City Thunder gets created from the ground up. And general manager and executive vice president Sam Presti has built this team to contend for a title. And Bryant, you've talked about it last week, as well as the last 3 weeks, in terms of this Oklahoma City team, not also being the best team in the NBA, but being one of the best defensive teams in the NBA. But you predicted, let me take that back. Not also did you say on episode 20 or 21 of the Rewind that this series would go 7. Not also did you say the prediction of how it would go with Oklahoma City winning game 5, going back to Indiana up 3-2 with the opportunity to close it out in Indiana. You also said that Indiana will win game 6 because it needs to go 7 financially. And of course, that's just the way you see the game. So we get to game 7, which we know, I know, you know, Oklahoma City's definitely winning. But the game is close for the first half, I should say. And then a heartbreaking injury in the second quarter with Indiana Pacers all-star, superstar guard Tyrese Halliburton tearing his Achilles. If you guys don't remember from that series, he had a calf strain, grade 2. He was questionable for game 6. Played game 6. Bryant said if he can score over 12 points, Indiana will win game 6. He finished with over 14 to 16 points. Don't remember off the top of my head. Boom. Tears his Achilles, which is a injury that not many greats come back from. This year alone, we've had Damian Lillard. We've had Celtic star Jason Tatum. Now we have Tyrese Halliburton, who put his body on the line coming in with an injured calf. But Bryant, man, you called it. Oklahoma City is NBA champs. First in organization. Here's your SGA has had a tremendous single season resume accomplishments, from scoring champion to his team had the best record in the NBA. They finished number 1 in the Western Conference. He's a not also an NBA MVP of this year, but he's a Finals MVP. That's quite a resume. Take us through your reaction to Oklahoma City being NBA champions, and man, what does this do for SGA's career in terms of being talked about as an all-time great at the point guard position, because he's averaged 30 points 3 years in a row, something that hasn't been done in a quite long time. And this team is very young with SGA, with Jalen Williams, with Chet Holmgren, with, of course, a piece of Alex Caruso, who's a 2-time NBA champion who won the bubble with the Los Angeles Lakers in 2020. But you called it, brother. I just want to give you your flowers and call it out to America, because you said it. Oklahoma City in 7. You said Indiana's going to win game 6. And yet here we are a few days after the finals, and we got a new champion.
It wasn't hard to see if you really know basketball and pay attention to it. And those guys were taking turns defensively. And it's like, you just got to really pay attention to the game like you do in boxing and MMA. You have to look at it, see what's going on. It's game 7. Both teams played hard. Halliburton getting hurt didn't help the cause. I wish he was healthy so we can really see how that game would have played out. But those teams, my hat goes off to Indiana for doing the best they can. They just came up a little short because they only could play that hard for a half. I'm going to put this on the record when people are saying about why our Achilles are becoming a problem as of late, and they're putting the blame on athletes becoming more athletic. To me, that's a load of bullshit, because you're actually saying that athletes wasn't athletic when they were in the 70s and the 80s and the 90s. And, torn Achilles rarely happened at that time. No, the issue is that they are not conditioning properly, and the fact that those shoes that they're wearing, low tops, you can't play sports like basketball at a high caliber sequence with low top shoes that you're running track on like a track field. You just can't do it. Your lower extremities are going to give way. You think about back in the 70s and 80s. Now, I'm not going to try to drag this so long because I know it's late. But in the 70s and 80s, when we grew up, we played on concrete in Chuck Taylors. Morning, afternoon, night, and our feet were pounding at nighttime. We soak them in some Epsom salt, got back up and did the same thing again. Day in and day out, multiple sports. Now they're saying it's excuses because these athletes are playing too long. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. So you mean to tell me that my feet, I didn't tear my Achilles because I was athletically gifted because God so said your Achilles are not going to tear. I had on some Buster Browns because, I couldn't afford to have those type of shoes. I went to Payless and got my sneakers, and the bottom of the soles were coming off.
I know, I can relate.
So, and you mean to tell me that you're giving an excuse because that's like me giving an excuse with boxing and MMA. There are no excuses. It's just what it is. Condition your body properly, do the things that's necessary, and wear the proper gear. The end. Evolution is making this thing called sports different because now football players are not wearing all their equipment. They're taking away the hip pads. They're taking all these pads. And then now they get more injuries. And now you get all these it's becoming crazy. So they're making choices. And now the decision said we need to play less games. No. Wear the stuff that was given like it was back in the day, and you won't have any problems.
Eric Dickerson will tell you that.
Yes.
Woo! Shout out to Ollie D.
Yes.
They're great.
He wore everything.
They wore everything.
They're great.
Everything's in fact. They just wear it. If you don't like wear, and nobody wants to hear it, wear the freaking high tops.
Yeah.
Wear them. It's just what it is. If they give it to you to wear, high tops are made for explosions and jumping ability and to take on that type of beating and pounding. Wear them. Their shoes are made geared towards that. These guys make enough money to where they can basically wear those type of shoes, but yet this is all about contracts. And they don't want to, take away the shoe sales because the kids like them. But it's not working. And kids are going to get hurt even more. So we need to stop the game. And I'm done.
Coach Carves, reaction, episode 24, get ready to sign off. I got the mic in the hand of Coach Carnicella. Coach, it's been an absolute honor to have you join us for episode 24. Episode 24 is special to me in my heart, just in terms of everything that we've been on so far with this journey, 23, 24 weeks straight. It's a grind mentally, and having the will to win is what it takes to get to the top of that mountain, or at least plays a part. So before we sign off for episode 24, I want to say thank you. But for the people out there that support the Rewind, that support our brand, Global Sports Entertainment 3, where can people find you on social media? Because we like to give people their flowers while they're here is one, but two, we like for people to receive love. We have to give it. We do give love every day, but damn it, it feels good to receive it. So tell the people where they can support you, support the gym, and a little bit, some things that may be happening, rather your personal life or the gym, in terms of some events maybe coming down the pipe in 2025.
Well, first, like I said, it's a pleasure having you here. I, thank you for those kind words. As far as the Carnicella MMA is the Instagram. That's what the gym. I mainly do everything as far as business through there. So there's some personal things on there that I put, but we mainly keep it as professional as possible. Our team is extremely busy right now. This weekend we have a very, very, very good upcoming boxer that just dominated as an amateur, 10 times or 11-time amateur champion, national champion, and he's fighting his second professional fight. He's fighting for he's signed with Top Rank. That's Emmanuel Chance.
Wow.
So I'm gonna be cornering his fight on Friday. And then Saturday, we have a MMA fight in New York. So it's just a busy, every weekend we've been basically going nonstop since probably the last 9 months, 10 months. We didn't even take a break in December. We had a couple people fight in December. So, like I said, it's quite an experience, but I wouldn't do anything else. I tell people all the time, I've been retired for almost 10 years now, but everybody asks me, like, I thought you were retired. And I said, I am retired. I'm getting to do what I would love to do. And day in and day,
How many people get to do that?
And that's it. I'm just, every day is a holiday for me because I love doing what I do.
Woo! Wow. Rick, episode 24. You blessed us with your presence.
Well, it's been great.
Your knowledge.
It's been great. Everything I know, I learned from somebody else. So it's been a real pleasure doing this. We had our little bumps and bruises, but we still got the plane off the ground.
We did, man.
Persistence.
Woo! At one point, we were saying, like, man, we need to bring this back another week. We had some technical difficulties, but when one door closes, another opens, and you got to keep fighting through. And you got to keep boxing through. I feel like in life sometimes, I feel like I keep boxing my way through life.
That's right.
Or certain situations, I'm in the corner, I got to box my way out.
You know what they say, keep swinging for the fence.
That's it, baby.
Same. Keep jabbing, putting. The door opens.
Bryant, final words before we sign off.
Fight for the right to party. You gotta keep going, baby.
This was fun, brother.
It's fun. It's a
Thank
lot
you,
of
brothers.
fun.
Thank you.
It's late. You know,
It
it's
is.
12:30 in the morning.
You weren't supposed to say that.
What?
Go ahead.
But he's going to edit it out.
It's midnight on the west. Midnight. I'm sorry. It's 12 afternoon in sunny California.
Oh yeah, it's 12:30 in the freaking morning. I got an hour and a half ride home. So at the end of
It's
the
gonna pay off.
At the end of the day, I'll get home at 2 a.m. But let me tell you something. This was one fantastic show. I learned a lot, especially in MMA, and I'm started watching even more. I've watched a lot of boxing, MMA slowly going, and I've started to see a lot of great fights on social media. And I sit there now and I watch them over and over and over again. And then I had a great time. So I look forward to seeing more stuff.
Episode 24. If you haven't, please subscribe to our YouTube channel at @the_GSC3, as well as follow us on all social media platforms at @the_GSC3. I want to give special thanks first and foremost to Coach Carnicella for blessing us with his gym, giving us the opportunity to do 24. Also, my producer, our producer, Chris, and 1990 Studios for the work he puts in each and every single game. The love, the episodes, the reels, the clips, what you see on a weekend and week out. It's been a blast. Episode 24 in the books. Episode 25 coming to you next week. From Bryant Garvin, Ricky Vera, Coach Carnicella, the captain of this ship, Monty Moss, signing off. We'll see you guys next week. Take care.
Let's go!
I was checking out the scouting report, and I don't see nothing but bums. You and your whole entire world know that I am the one. You and your squad ain't got nothing for me.
Hey.
Your organization is looking stressed,
What?
and now that you haters is running from me, I know that you see that I'm highly blessed.
Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Yeah, we live with your boy Coach G. Yeah, we live with your boy Monty.
You and your squad ain't got nothing for me. Your organization is looking stressed, and now that you haters is running from me.